Carbon fibers are
Oh, good to be back. Good evening and welcome to iScience Radio.
We're here from Imperial College's best and only science magazine, talking science news, culture, and a little bit of science silliness.
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Jamie.
And we'll be your hosts for this evening's show. We've got a busy program lined up for you.
First up in the news, an explosion in the stars set to take place this summer, and astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore arrive at the International Space Station in their Boeing Starliner capsule.
I want a Boeing Starliner capsule. That sounds amazing. And we also have a little section on freshwater pearl mussels, who might be some of the solutions to the water quality problems we've been facing on the UK and Irish rivers. Also, we'll be hearing a little bit about carbon fibre and the way it could be made from trees.
And then finally,
Take a high-end bike that is enviably light, so light in fact that you can lift it with one hand. The chances are it is made from carbon fibre, a material which dates back to the 1870s when
And then finally, you got a problem? Solve it with radium. Join us as we take a look into the history of radioactivity and learn just why the heck all of our great-grandparents were putting radium into everything.
All this and more, but first, let's drop into our first song. This is a song I have known for a long, long time. It's by Santi Gold, and it's called Anne. And that was Santi Gold with her song Anne. That is now an old song, and that makes me feel old.
How old is that song?
It was 2008.
2008.
Yeah.
God, I was 9 years old, Caitlin. How does that make you feel?
You're a wee one. It's fine because you're not Yaz, and so you were not born after 2000, which is the really problematic ones. So you're good. Do you have some news for us, Jamie?
I do. There was a bit of news that caught my interest this week. A lot of space stuff going on recently. So
I've noticed that as well. I've noticed a lot of space stuff and some really cool
yeah,
images
in the
coming
past
out.
couple of months, it's been like everything has been space and auroras and everything is going up high.
I feel that.
So first up, we've got two NASA astronauts, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore. They were the first to journey on this new spacecraft by Boeing called the Starliner. And they have safely arrived on the International Space Station. Fortunately, they weren't going to Alaska or wherever Boeing airplanes go. But so this is the crew flight test for this spacecraft, and the two of them are going to stay on the ISS for about a week before heading back onto the Starliner and returning to Earth with plans to land in New Mexico. And they did do a tour of the Starliner on like a live stream. So I do recommend that everybody go and check that out because it's really cool to see what the inside of this thing looks like. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I hadn't realized about that. I hadn't realized that Boeing were kind of sending people up to the ISS. Are they replacing anyone up there, or are there extra beds for them during their stay?
I think it's an extra bed situation. There are, I believe, 2 other spaceships docked up there right now, which is the Dragon with SpaceX. And I think it's a Soyuz craft that's up there as well. So apparently they can dock at least 3 spacecraft on the ISS, which is insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And are they planning any particular missions? Are there any kind of testing things?
I did read that they're doing a spacewalk, but the main thing was testing whether like the spacecraft can dock at the ISS and then can return safely before they send a long-term mission up there on that spacecraft.
Okay, yeah, because a week is not a long time.
No, I would think you would want to stay for a while.
No, if you've gone to all that effort to be blasted up towards the International Space Station, you'd
it's just a quick vacation.
Right. I'm just going to space for the week, just on my downtime. Yeah. Would you go to the
space?
International? No. What about the International Space Station?
I feel like maybe in like 30 or 40 years after I've lived a bit of life.
Oh, wow.
And maybe the technology has gotten such that people are just regularly going. But I don't know if that'll ever be a sort of thing where it's like an affordable thing to do and it's something that people do regularly.
But if you had the opportunity?
I don't think I would.
Wow. Oh my God, I so would.
Yeah. I'm fulfilled enough by the pictures, I think. I don't think I would be like, yeah, I'll go myself.
I thought it was really interesting. At the last Imperial Lates, there was a talk about Mars and the rovers up there. Mm-hmm. And I spoke a bit to the coordinator of the mission, so the Perseverance and the Curiosity missions. And he asked at the beginning of the talk how many people would go up to Mars if they could, bearing in mind it might be a one-way trip and it would take, really quite a long time to get there. And it was quite a few. There were quite a few people who were willing to leave Earth for a perpetual life on
Yeah, that's
Mars.
Crazy to me. I don't know why people... Well, I guess in some cases people would really like to do that, but I don't think I ever would.
Yeah. It did look really cool from the pictures, though. And he said that often he would be the very first person to see a new picture from Mars.
Oh, that's cool.
I know, as the rover went over a hill, because he was the kind of coordinator of the mission, he'd be the first one to see it, that's wild. That's, really, really
That's
cool.
really cool.
That's very, very interesting. Well, I wish them lots of luck. I think Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore are good space names as well. They sound... Yeah.
And they have similar last names too, so it's like they go good in a pair.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And then this second bit of news real quick, there is a upcoming astronomical event. I shouldn't say astronomical event.
There's always astrological events.
That's coming up this summer. It's supposedly a once-in-a-lifetime event, although we keep hearing it's all once-in-a-lifetime events. But there's going to be a star that is going to explode sometime this summer. And the star is called T Corona Borealis, and it's a white dwarf star. It's about the same size as Earth, but it has more mass than our sun. So it's incredibly dense and has a super strong magnetic pull. And because of this, it's just pulling hydrogen from a neighboring red giant star into itself. And as it does this, the heat and the pressure is going to keep building up in this star, and it's just going to burst in this giant fiery explosion called a nova explosion, which is different from a supernova, which that's when a star dies. But scientists are predicting that this explosion could occur anytime between now and September. But the light from the explosion could, as it's reaching Earth, it should last for about a week.
Wow.
So everyone out there, keep your eyes on the news and keep your ears tuned to us, because we'll be sure to let you know when it happens and when you should be looking up in the stars.
Yes, I'm sure we'll get a wonderful view from London with all our lovely light
all of our lovely
pollution.
smog and clouds. Yes.
I swear to God, I saw a star go out when I was younger. I was looking up at the sky, and a star, which was really, really bright, just went out, and I did not know how to explain it. And I'm convinced I saw a supernova. So there. Anyway, that was really interesting and very astronomical news. It's really hard not to say astrological, isn't it? I thoroughly enjoyed that. Thank you for filling us in on what's happening out in the world of science. This is not such a current story, but it could be a future story. We have lost most of the freshwater pearl mussels on the island of Ireland, and then also the rest of the UK. Not that Ireland is, oh God, I'm getting into fiery territory here. On the island of Ireland, and then this landmass that we are currently on. So the rivers, the kind of fast-flowing rivers, used to have a lot of these freshwater pearl mussels, and they would nestle down in the riverbank and the riverbed, and they filter feed. So they do a really, really good job of cleaning the water and taking in kind of particulate matter, which is one of the things that's a real issue at the moment, because we have so much erosion that's kind of feeding into rivers and making them much, much muddier than they should be. And how old do you think that a freshwater mussel grows to be? How old do you think it
is this sort of like lobsters, where they can be hundreds of years old?
What do you reckon?
I'm gonna guess that mussels can be up to 300 or 400 years old. Some of the oldest ones.
You're exactly right.
Really?
Yeah.
I should get a prize for that.
Yeah, I will get you a prize. So the oldest freshwater mussel ever found was 280 years old, but generally they live over 100 years. 150 seems to be kind of the general cutoff point. So that the 280.
So is it like overfishing or climate change that's kind of made them?
This was the really interesting thing. When I went across to Ireland, when I was working for the Rivers Trust, I got to discover all about the freshwater pearl mussel situation. And the thing was, once the pearl market took off, and pearls are found in roughly 2% of mussels, people were just ripping them out of the rivers and tearing them open to try and find a mussel. And especially on Ireland, especially during the potato famine, it was seen as, like a way of securing your future and securing your finances. So they really were kind of ripped apart. But there was another quite interesting and maybe more unexpected reason for their decline, and that was the linen industry. And the linen industry in Ireland was huge. And I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory about linen. So linen is a natural fibre. It grows these very tall stems and then kind of flowers at the top, and it's picked in massive bunches. But it's actually the inside fibre of the linen that makes up the fabric. So it's actually, what's it called? Flaxseed. So that's the plant. And so in order to get rid of the kind of woodier, solid part on the outside, they do something called retting, which is controlled rotting. And so with all of these fibres bunched up, they can do a controlled rot in the river. But the problem is this leaches all this kind of alcohol and toxic chemicals into the river system, and that sort of choked the mussels out. So any mussels that weren't being pulled from their little homes in the riverbed, I keep saying bank, were then obliterated by the linen industry. And what's really, really interesting is that they have a very, very kind of tight symbiosis with salmonid fish. So basically, when the mussels are little baby larvae, they latch on to a fish's gills as it passes, and they live there for 5 years. And initially, it was thought that this was kind of quite a parasitic relationship.
Yeah, it sounds like a...
Exactly, because they eat, stuff that the fish is eating, and they kind of do very well off the fish. And in fact, the fish would grow smaller with mussels attached. But that didn't look at the whole life cycle of the fish and the mussels. And when you do, you discover that where there's a lot of mussels, the riverbed is so much cleaner that it makes the fish way more likely to have viable offspring because they're able to attach their eggs to the little pebbles. So we could massively clean up the rivers by encouraging freshwater pearl mussels back, and it could also increase the quantity of fish in the rivers as well, which is something that is really lacking. And the Ballinderry Rivers Trust has been running the longest freshwater mussel conservation programme. But that's no mean feat for a species that doesn't blooming recreate until it's 25 years old.
Yeah.
So they have been doing this for quite a long time, and they are starting to see some results. So kind of cleaner rivers, a return of the trout and salmon, and this could be rolled out in other rivers around the UK as well.
So is this restoration mostly in Ireland then?
This is in Ireland. There's also a restoration project happening in the Lake District,
Gotcha.
so kind of Cumbria. Other than that, they've kind of been obliterated in most of the rivers, and they would have been found in most upland rivers.
Yeah, I can't imagine the Thames ever being clean enough to support mussels.
You say that. If you just keep going east to where the Thames sources and the kind of early tributaries of the Thames, it's beautiful, really, really clean. It's only kind of London
it's only when you get
onwards.
into London,
Yeah.
like most things, that it starts to get a bit gloomy and a
bit mucky. Yeah, exactly. So there we go. That's pearl mussels and the celestial world for us. I think it's time for another song. How about we listen to Frederica Stahl's song "Pull Up Your Sleeves"?
Nothing we can say, there's no excuse. We've got the power in our hands. Pushing all the problems till tomorrow without any further plan. So what do we do now? It is time to face the truth now. Step by step we've gathered all the keys, and now we're standing at your door. Now the time has come to give some back. We can't keep taking anymore. So what do we do now? Pull up your sleeves, make a move, do something we need. So pull up our sleeves, make a move, do something we need. To make believe, make a stand, do something we need. Piece by piece we'll put you back together, make you mend, relieve your sore. Our time has come to make a difference, shed the trivial, save the core. So Piece by piece, we'll put you back together. Piece by piece, we'll put you back together. Make you believe your soul. Pull up your sleeve. Make a move, do something you need. It is time to face it. Pull up our sleeve. Make a move, do something you need. It is time to face it. Make believe. Make a stand, do something you need. Pull up your sleeve. Make a move, do something you need. It is time to face it. Pull up our sleeve. Make a move, do something you need. It is time to face it. Make believe. Make a stand, do something you need. It is
That was Frederica Stahl and Pull Up Your Sleeves. Which
Very vibey. I was like bopping my head to that one.
It is a bop, isn't it? It's from a film called Tomorrow that I've never seen, but I just came across the song. Anyway, I like it. The Swedes can bop after all. I don't know why I always have a kind of more somber tone from them.
Isn't ABBA Swedish?
ABBA.
Or
ABBA.
ABBA,
Ooh,
ABBA.
That's an interesting
Me trying
American
to defend the Swedes and I
pronunciation.
mispronounced their most famous band.
They have this very strange thing that my housemate went to, where they have like ABBA, an ABBA concert, but they're all what are they called? Where you
Holograms.
hologram, yeah. So all of them are holograms.
I think I've seen ads for that, like on the tube.
Yeah, you will have. And it's apparently really freaky. It's like quite uncanny valley where the movements are all kind of a bit wrong. And also it's really strange because all the old ABBA, like original proper ABBA, come out at the end and they're all really old and and you've just been watching, their younger selves as holograms.
That's wild.
Yeah. So that's not a plug for ABBA, I'm afraid.
We can't even pronounce I can't pronounce their
ABBA.
name right.
Well, I have been working away at the International Relations Office, and they have at Imperial, and they have lots of kind of collaborations with other universities around the world. And this particular one is with the CNRS, or Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique, which I think is the most ridiculously long-winded name for a university. And they have these joint PhD programs, and I've been making audio pieces about each of the joint PhD programs and the science surrounding that. So we're going to hear a little bit about a carbon fiber project, which I thought was really, really cool. And I had not really thought about the fact that carbon fiber is such a wasteful product in terms of its production. And so they're kind of trying to change that. And there's all sorts of like exciting schemes to make it from more sustainable components. So we'll drop into it now.
When scientists collaborate across borders.
New types of materials, sustainable materials, functional materials, new methodologies to detect and cure cancer, health, sustainability and connectivity, doing excellent research. And this IRC is really about exploring possibilities. I mean, it's clear that we are better together.
These projects highlight some of the incredible collaborative science made possible by the International Research Centre, a joint venture between Imperial College London and the Centre National de Recherche Scientifique, or CNRS, in France.
Take a high-end bike that is enviably light, so light in fact that you can lift it with one hand. The chances are it is made from carbon fibre, a material which dates back to the 1870s, when it was first used for filament light bulbs. Making new materials or improving on the old ones is a slow process. It requires a diverse set of skills to first synthesize and then test its capabilities. A case in point, carbon fibre's incredible strength for its weight was only realised a full 100 years after its first synthesis.
Early experiments subjected natural fibres like cotton and silk to high temperatures, transforming their atomic structure to a more carbon-rich crystalline one in a process known as graphitization. But today, the building blocks come from fossil fuels. In this project, natural fibres once again take centre stage as researchers from the CNRS and Imperial College aim to make an old material in new, more sustainable ways.
I'm Milo Schaffer. I'm a professor of materials chemistry. Carbon fibres are lightweight structural materials. They are fantastic. We use them anywhere we need high performance, strong, stiff materials, for example in aircraft, and they generally improve fuel economy and reduce weight in their use, but their production at the moment is quite energy intensive and is derived from petrochemical precursors.
Professor Schaffer from Imperial College is one of the principal investigators on this project. His research focuses on nanomaterials and more recently carbon fibres, which could help shift our society to a carbon neutral one.
So this project is about developing a different way to make carbon fibre from renewable resources, specifically from lignin. Lignin is a component of wood. So what we're really talking about is taking biomass, in other words, trees or grasses. There could be waste biomass, could be like sawdust or chippings, and then converting that into, really high performance material.
Lignin is the second most abundant polymer on Earth after cellulose and is responsible for giving trees their structure and rigidity. But before it can be converted, lignin must first be separated from other plant material. Joint Principal Investigator Dr. Aggie Brandt Talbot is an expert in lignin chemistry and characterising fibres to determine their physical, thermal and mechanical properties.
I'm a lecturer in the Department of Chemistry here at Imperial College. I'm bringing in the experience in extracting and characterising the lignin, what sort of liquid it's soluble in, so we can make those fibres. We want to make the materials more sustainable and lower cost as well, and lignin has that promise. The raw materials are cheaper and then the conversion method is lower cost as well. We have a way of extracting the lignin, and then we've now also developed sort of over the last 2-3 years a method to bring it into a fibre form and then transform it into carbon fibres.
But this is easier said than done and requires instrumentation and expertise that traverses borders. Back to Professor Schaffer.
The challenge is how to graphitize those lignin fibres, which is normally considered to be rather difficult. And to help us, we're working together with CNRS in Paris, because they can study the structure of the carbon as it converts at high temperature using X-ray scattering techniques. So they have a specialist focus on scattering, where you can get very intense X-rays, which is good if you want to look at the sample as it changes in real time. What we're hoping is that we'll add a really complementary facet. So we're very much experimental, doing the materials development, but with the skills in CNRS, we should be able to understand much more fundamentally what's going on. So that should accelerate the progress a lot.
CNRS Research Director, Professor Pascal Launois, is the final principal investigator working on this project, bringing analytical techniques and a different perspective to carbon fibre research. By firing X-rays at the carbon fibres made by Imperial College and analysing the patterns formed when they pass through the material, Professor Launois can determine their crystal structure and other useful properties. This helps the team compare the similarities and differences between their lignin-derived fibres and the current ones in use for manufacturing.
I'm Pascal Launois. I'm a physicist working at the Laboratory of Solid-State Physics, and I am a specialist in X-ray scattering and analysis of X-ray scattering diagrams, which give information on order, disorder, structure, orientation of objects, and so on. Everything is very complementary because lignin is the competence of Imperial College. Realization of fiber and measurement of mechanical properties, it's Imperial College. And studying of the graphitization, it will be done at the Laboratory of Solid-State Physics in France. The ultimate goal is to produce marketable bio-derived carbon fibers. But even if we don't succeed to do it, We will make progress in this direction and understand the carbonization and graphitization process of a lignin fiber. It can be useful for the production of batteries and supercapacitors.
Working at the cutting edge of materials science to achieve that goal are PhD students Eni and Lucy, who have joint supervision from all three PIs. Although each has their own specific area of focus, they collaborate closely whilst gaining experience working in another country's research facilities.
I'm Lucy. I just started my PhD under the supervision of Pascal Launois. My role is to characterize the structure of the lignin carbon fibers using X-ray scattering techniques in order to get a deeper understanding of the graphitization process of the lignin fibers made at Imperial College. The combined expertise of my different supervisors allows me to gain a deeper knowledge and explore different aspects of the research on lignin fibers. And with Eni, so my fellow PhD student at Imperial College, we exchange ideas and discuss our results approximately once a month. And during our last visit, Eni, Milo, and AG demonstrated the process of making and characterizing a lignin-based fiber. And this hands-on experience provided me with a deeper understanding of the process and the challenges they face while making those fibers. We also brainstormed on new experimental ideas that we could make and presented the results we had so far.
I'm Eni, a first-year PhD student in materials at Imperial College London. Lucy's working on X-ray scattering of these carbon fibers, but there are a lot of other techniques that we can use, so such as transmission electron microscopy, and we can also use focus ion beams to get specific sections of these fibers to analyze in more detail. I'm excited to go and visit them and see how their research group works. They'll have different areas of expertise because they have an X-ray synchrotron which has massive capabilities, so I'll be able to learn more.
The team have already started to make carbon fibres derived from lignin on a small scale. With larger amounts, the carbon fibres can be combined with other materials to make composites that are customised to specific uses. Carbon fibres are quite brittle by themselves, so are often suspended in a more flexible substance called a matrix.
We're hoping that the performance is good enough to start considering their practical application. Then there's a process of scaling up and showing that that can be transferred to a more realistic manufacturing process. And there's a lot of work in the world now considering how to make bio-derived or sustainable matrices for composites. The most common systems are epoxy-based, which are petrochemical, but a lot of interest in making them out of renewable resources as well. So in principle, you could then combine a renewable matrix with our renewable lignin fiber and have an all-renewable composite.
Carbon fiber composites also very interesting in wind turbines, so they can make the blades lighter and then higher performing, so we get more energy from a single wind turbine. Those would be our target market, so large scale where we can really have an impact on the sustainability of our energy use and fuel efficiency.
If we can work out how to make a large enough quantity of good quality fibre, we hope that will stimulate, the take-up of the technology into a kind of industrial process. We're not really expecting the fibres to reach the maximum performance of the current best carbon fibres, but to reach a good enough performance that they can be used in a whole range of applications which are in need of carbon fibres, but cheaper, more sustainable ones, so particularly in automotive, to help with electrification of the automotive sector.
So, in the not too distant future, bikes which were once made from wood and could barely be lifted may return to their plant-based roots, this time a good deal lighter and speedier. Thank you for listening. If you're interested in knowing more about this project or the general partnership between the CNRS and Imperial, you can reach out to the International Relations Office at Imperial College. And don't forget to look out for our next audio release focusing on another brilliant piece of research.
So there we are. Possibly we might see carbon fibre returning to its natural roots and pun fully intended there. We've got another song for you coming up. This is Ashes to Ashes by David Bowie, and this is probably my favourite Bowie song ever.
Say it's true. They got a message from the action man. I'm happy, hope you're happy too. I've loved all I've needed love, saw the details fall away. The shrieking when nothing is killing, just pictures of chap girls and synthesis. And I ain't got no money and I ain't got no hands. But I'm hoping to kick with the planet is glowing. Ashes to ash and fun to funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven's high, hitting an all-time low.
That was, of course, David Bowie, as Jamie quite rightly pointed out, and the internet lady who correctly pronounced it. Apparently that's the other one that people always say wrong, is pronunciation. People always say pronunciation with like the word noun in it. But yes, that came out in 1980. So It's been going a good long time. And from one icon to an iconic bit of science, radioactivity. Tell us more, Jamie.
So, would you be surprised, Caitlin, if I told you that nearly everything is radioactive?
Oh,
It's not just all of the classic sorts of radioactive elements that we think of. Nearly everything is radioactive. Some things more than others, obviously, but almost everything is radioactive because radioactivity is actually a more broad term than people think. It's used to describe the decay of unstable atoms and the release of their energy. And it's a term that was first coined by Marie and Pierre Curie, of course, in 1898, but the discovery of radioactivity was made in 1896 by one of their mentors, Henri Becquerel, and then the three of them sort of worked on it together and eventually won the 1903 Nobel Prize in Physics for their work with radioactivity.
Wow, that's incredible that it was that early, really, isn't it? You know, when you think about the lack of technology available to them at the time, it's pretty incredible. So does that have anything to do with entropy, i.e. the idea of everything
the idea that everything is, that entropy is like the increase of like chaos
exactly.
in the world, that the universe is constantly expanding and that energy is constantly going up. I would think so, that because it's, you know, when things decay, it's a release of energy. So I would think that applies into that release of energy applies into that theory of increasing entropy.
Yeah, the loss of order and structure. That seems to me it would make sense. So would we say that we are radioactively
We
decaying?
are most definitely radioactive. So us and specifically, all living things made of carbon are radioactive because a small proportion of carbon atoms are radioactive. So carbon-14 isotopes is that's a radioactive isotope of carbon. So that, I believe the half-life of that isotope is right around 6,000 years, which is how carbon dating works. So that, you know, people are able to date very old bones of old carbon-based life forms because of the carbon that's still in them.
Wow, so actually this radioactivity is playing a huge part in scientific discovery beyond just, you know, its use as what people think we would know for like cancer and things like that.
Of cancer treatments or nuclear energy, such of things. Yeah. So, but did you know that in the early 1900s, when all of these radioactive elements were first discovered by the Curies, like radium and polonium, that people thought that they were actually good for their health?
Oh no.
So from the time that these things were discovered until the 1940s, when people started to realize, hey, this stuff makes our bones melt, radium was being added to numerous different products that were being used and consumed on a daily basis. It's because people were absolutely fascinated by this new mysterious glowing material, and now I think if we saw something glowing, we would think, hey, don't eat that. But back then, it was quite fashionable to have all of these uranium-based items around your home. And not only that, but because like pure radium salts were very difficult to come by, it took Marie Curie several years to be able to isolate enough to really characterize the properties of radium. So especially early on in the 20th century, owning something with radium in it was quite the status symbol.
Wow.
And at the time as well, radium had been noted to decrease the size of tumors because, it kills the cells. And for a long time, radioactivity was used to treat cancers. But many medical experts and even average people conflated that to mean that it was not only healthy, but it was this magical cure-all for many different kinds of ailments, not just cancers.
Got it.
So it's kind of no wonder that everyone wanted a piece of radium in their lives.
Well, my dad, when he was younger, he remembers going to the shoe store, going to kind of Clark's and getting his feet measured. But instead of just using, you know, a tape measure or that board with the lengths and things on it, he would have his feet x-rayed because that's how they were seeing how big kids' shoes were, and it was a novelty thing, and they thought that people would pay more if they could see the bones of their feet.
That's so strange,
isn't it? So this idea obviously didn't completely die, I guess UV was thought to, if not be positive for your health, then at least be pretty much neutral, which obviously we later found out not to be true.
Yeah, so from this time period, the United States Nuclear Regulatory Commission actually has a catalog of historical items that contained radium. And so for our quiz today, I thought it would be fun to give my very lovely friend Caitlin here the name of a product and have you guess whether it's a real product, a real radium product that was actually produced and used in the 20th century, or whether it's come out of my brain.
That sounds like a fantastic premise for a quiz. How well do I know Jamie's brain?
So I'm just going to give you the name of a product, and you say, yeah, that was real. Okay. Sleepy water.
Sleepy water. I think that might have been real.
It was real. So at the time, radium water was a huge, big thing because they were like, it's a tonic, drink it. It'll make you feel better. So this specific product was produced by the Chewalka Mineral Springs Company in Arkansas in the 1910s. And one advertisement read, drink sleepy water to retain as well as regain your health. And it was water that was from a radioactive spring.
Oh, God.
So it probably wasn't as radioactive as some other companies who were legitimately selling siphons with separate attached liquid radon bulbs that you could attach into this siphon and have yourself a bubbly glass of radioactive water.
Gosh.
And there were of course several people that died from that, and their jaws were melting off. And
wow, so they died kind of quite quickly. It wasn't, a years down the line.
No, it would be a years down the line thing.
Okay.
Because
wow.
it's a gradual build-up thing, which is why these things lasted for so long.
Of course. And did the sleepy water cause them to sleep? Like, why the name sleepy water?
I guess to be relaxing, I'm not sure.
I mean, or more permanent sleep.
Okay, here's the next product. Dr. Howell's radium cure for deafness and head noises.
Deafness and head noises. That's just such a weird name and so grammatically strange that I think it has to be real.
It was real. So there was this doctor called Charles Howell in Illinois, and he claimed that this stuff that one bottle would make the deaf hear, and that you should try a bottle and be happy was how he advertised it. And he made several different quack cures. So here's a couple of his. He had Dr. Howell's Great Flu and Pneumonia Cure, also with radium. Yeah. Dr. Howell's Harmless Eye Remedy, also with radium.
Harmless.
Harmless.
That's
he started
so
putting
funny.
harmless into it.
Exactly. Why you never ever want to hear the word harmless in a medication that you're taking, because that should be a given.
And then I'm sure Brian will like this one. Dr. Howell's Harmless Radium Remedy for Enlarged Prostate Glands. So I'm sure if you had that problem, you were willing to do anything to get rid of it.
I thought I'd recognise the Charles Howell, and it turns out I think I do. So, have you heard of the term snake oil?
I have not. No,
you haven't.
Okay. Well, I do know the term snake oil, but
yeah, snake oil as in peddling snake oil. Well, the term comes from this water snake, which people used to, get all the oil out of and bottle it up and sell it as like another cure-all. And it was supposed to be like this tonic which could just work wonders for everything. And it's thought that it has like a very high proportion of omega-3 and omega-6. But actually what people started selling, including possibly this guy, was initially oil from other snakes that had no benefits whatsoever, and then basically just petroleum. Just some petroleum oil, and people were selling it, and it was the first case ever in the world of advertising standards, of an advertising standards case, and he was prosecuted for it and made to pay back the money. So this radium stuff sounds quite similar.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there were plenty of lawsuits that came out with all of this.
Yeah.
So let's try one more. Let me see here. Let me find a good one. All right, let's see. a Dr. Radiance Miracle Glow perfume. Is this real, or did it come out of Chamie's brain?
I think it came out of Chamie's brain.
It did come out of Chamie's brain. But I thought that would be so cool that if you had like a perfume that you could like spray on yourself and you'd glow, kind of like those like TikTok trends recently with people's like spraying glitter on themselves.
That would be great. Yeah, or people at my school always broke apart those glow sticks and painted that on you, which I'm sure
that's
was great
probably
for
not
you.
good for you.
No. I reckon we got time for another.
All right, we'll do one more. So how about a radium hand cleanser?
I think that could be real.
It was real. So this was produced by the Radium Compound Company in 1915, and the product was marketed with the motto, "Takes off everything but the skin."
Oh my gosh.
And it was intended primarily for like mechanics and engineers, or really like anybody whose job would like make you have like really greasy hands that were difficult to clean.
Wow. But I guess it would have killed... It would have had an
It would have killed
antibacterial effect.
everything.
I mean, everything. Yeah, you're right. Antibacterial, anti-life, anti-skin. Yeah.
You would have had very clean, very glowy hands.
Yeah. Ta-da! Good for jazz hands. All the musical theatre kids could have been over that. Yeah. Well, I think we are reaching the end of the show. That was a fantastic quiz, which I'm glad to have won. Me versus me. I did in fact win. Although 4 out of 4, not too bad, not too bad. That was an excellent radioactive quiz, and I feel glowier already. Well, thank you so much, Chamie, for all of your input this week. It's been really fascinating.
And you as well.
And we hope you all had as much fun as we did. If you would like to follow us on social media, you can find us at iScience. And of course, the most recent issue of the magazine is out. It just came out this week. It's called Science Fiction, and it's available around campus, or you can visit our website, isciencemag.co.uk. If you would like to write for the magazine, you can also contact any of the editors online, and they will be looking for topics on the subject of scale, or scales, or scaling. Something scaly.
Multiple meanings on this next issue.
Yes. And we will see you at the same time next week, 5 o'clock on a Monday. Thank you, Brian, our wonderful producer this week. You've been good on the old buttons. And here's a song to play us out. This is Hiatus Coyote and their song Molasses.
Might not get yet, might not get any better. Might not get yet, might not get any better. Might not get yet, might not get any better. Might not get yet, might not get any better. Are you the born hunter, relic with an armored heart? Color of sulfur banished to a single arc. Porcelain smolder, and don't forget your state of the art. Buried deep in the soil, selfless or daft. It could be a compass red, so bountiful. It could be the opposing opinion. It could be the point of traction bound to all. It could be the point of letting it go. It could be a compass spread and so bountiful. It could be the opposing opinion. It could be the point of traction bound to all. It could be the point of letting it go. Running with my eyes closed, blinding the lens with the focus. Running with my eyes closed, finding omens in the woodwork. I see cold braille, chemical